right, good morning. Wow, back to game dev. One moment. All right, now back to game dev, with just one day of a break. Coming back to this, and we have a bunch of pull requests that I need to review. I keep on accumulating these AI written pull requests that, they're, I think, pretty good, but with some refinement, with some direction to Copilot, I think they're pretty good, but we need to just test them, and let's do that. It just takes time, right? So I'm really curious about this one. So this claims to have fixed the zombie collision shape positioning, the ground clipping, the zombies getting stuck under the ground. Now, I'm not sure if I believe this. Just randomly decided it was going to change the getIgnore file. I guess that's fine. Let's find out what this does. I think what I'll do, we're going to test this really quickly and see if it has a positive effect. And if it doesn't, I will close it and we'll move on. All right, so let me just reload current project. So I think it's pretty easy to reproduce the issue. If we start the game and we start our test scenario, because lots of zombies spawn in. From all sorts of directions, and we can get like a cluster of of them. Excuse me. And then especially if we get some turrets going out here, and some range amplifiers. Which, by the way, I added lines between things to kind of indicate kind of the impact of effects. So we're also testing this because one of the things was to make sure that, and then ignore the red lines. The red lines don't count. But the green lines are supposed to be rendered below everything. And yeah, so this is still happening. This did not fix the issue. Which is not really surprising to me. I don't think it's just simply a matter of the positioning of the zombies, but rather, or the collision shape, but rather how the, I don't know that we have, well, yeah, anyway, I'm going to just close this for now because this does not fix the issue. I guess let's take a look at what this actually does, because I might want to keep this anyway, even though it doesn't fix the issue. So if we look at the enemy.tscn, so what this is supposed to have changed was the collision shape, the capsule shape here. And so now, what did this actually change? So the transform on the collision shape was moved, so that the value 1.89 was changed to 2.05. So if we look for a 2.05, this one here, previously this was lower. Now I don't think this matters. Because the issue is that the zombies are falling over. Not that they're sinking into the ground, they're falling over. Which, yeah, anyway. So, let's just do that. I think I will merge this anyway, because I do want the change to the getting nor file. And I think these other things are fine as well. It's not that this is wrong in that it's like a bad change. It's just not a change that's actually going to fix the issue. So I'm going to merge this. But what I want to make sure is that, so we have figure out how to keep zombies from laying down into the ground. We're going to move back. This appears to be not caused by clipping. Addressed in 240. Specifically, the zombies don't just clip through the ground, they fall over and I think this is kind of like a pathfinding issue. I wonder. Okay, great. I was thinking for a second that me changing things there would cause Copilot to try to work on it some more, but anyway, it's fine. So I think it has something to do with the navigation agent stuff somehow. Well, let's while we're on the topic, maybe something will occur to me if I look at the enemy script. So somewhere later down here, we interact with the navigation agent. Should be like in physics process. Yeah, update navigation. So what we do is we call navigation agent.get next path position, and this gives us a vector, and we figure out what the direction is to that next position, and we drive a velocity. Drive is maybe not the right word, but we get a velocity from the direction using our movement speed, and we attempt to look at that direction. We try to face the direction that we're moving. So initially, my first thought here is that maybe we should not, like, the zombie shouldn't pivot this way, only this way, right? Or that the amount that they could look, yaw, whatever the direction is called, right? It should be limited, right? So when we look at the target as a vector, right, rotates the nodes at the local forward axis, points towards the target position. One of the things we want to probably do is say, is there a way to take this vector and get it without the oh, right. So that's that position. What we want to do is we want to look towards next path position, but we want the Y value to be the same. as our current position, right? So look towards the thing, but look at the y coordinate of what? Us, right? So we can make a look at position. And what we want to do is we want to say vector3 dot. How do we make a new vector3? Yes, yes, and then do that. This is, let me just do that. There we go. So take our current position, get its y value, and so look at the x and z, but keep the same y. Now, what does this look like? Let's load up our test scenario, and we'll I feel like maybe the zombies getting hit somehow affects this. I'm not sure, but that's how we have been doing things. So we'll do this. I had intended to be placing a bunch of range amplifiers, and I didn't. I was placing something else. There we go. So now everything. The range is too big. We can't. We're inside the sphere now, which is one of the other pull requests. Is changing the range sphere into a cylinder. So anyway, we no longer see any zombies laying on the ground, which is good. Even if we hit them a bunch of times. Even if we, like, squish them. So that's good. Alright, and we won. Anyway. Okay, so I fixed it. Alright. And just push that up, and there we go. Alright. So moving on, the next AI pull request is to replace the sphere with a cylinder for the range preview indicator. So we'll see if this works. Great. And just for the sake of caution, I will reload the project. All right. So when we start our test scenario, there we go. So we see a perimeter on the ground, right, of the range. And that means that if we keep on, and I do know that in the actual game, we're going to have to make these things pretty expensive to prevent this from being a thing you just do. But no matter how many of these you add into the world, the range preview never just disappears. Because that's what's happening with the sphere. If it just keeps on, if the radius of the sphere keeps expanding, then eventually it goes behind the camera and you can no longer see it. Now granted, we have an immense amount of range, right? Plus 70,000% range with that many range amplifiers. But yeah, okay, so that seems to work and not break anything. So we can rebase and merge this. So this is, I think pretty straightforward. It's not like this was something that's like, oh, I don't know how to do this. We did put into place the effect range indicator stuff a couple of streams ago, and we had a sphere mesh, and that's been replaced with a cylinder mesh. And so that's something we could have done, but AI did it, and then I just had to test it. And I think there wasn't even any back and forth on this, right? I didn't leave any adjusting comments. No, okay, so pretty good, pretty good. We will rebase the next branch. So this one has been around for a little while now. Add flat ground plane with visual boundaries and camera constraints. And the idea with this one was to have, so we have the scenario. So we have like the mesh of the ground for the level, the scenario. And then what we want to do is have it so that beyond the scenario, there's still ground. It's just not ground from the scenario. It's just like default terrain. And then if you navigate far enough away from the scenario, you eventually see like a boundary that says, okay, this is as far as you can go, and that works properly. Is kind of the expectation. So let's go look at that and see how broken that is. Okay. Great, so I think we're all synced up. Let's go back to Godot. Reload from disk. Yeah, really reload current project. Probably some things left over. Like this pull request predates me switching from Godot 4.4 to 4.5. And so there are things that refer to logger instead of my logger. Logger. Whole word. Case sensitive. Interesting. Maybe I should look at the docs for so Godot logger. Right, so this is the thing that apparently existed in 4.5 and conflicted with my logger class. Built-in file logging. Sure. Creating custom. Yes. Since Godot 4.5, it's possible to create custom loggers. Okay. So let me create, I'm not going to do it right now, but let's put a thing on the backlog to update our logger to do what's outlined in here. And we'll just create a draft. All right. So that being said, we have to fix our stuff that's using. Okay, let me. There we go. Exclude add-ons. There we go. Okay, so logger becomes my logger. Exclude external as well. There we go. Now main made a couple of new logger statements in this PR, so we have to update them. Okay, so going back to Godot, reload the project again. Okay, looks good. Let's start with this scenario. Max zoom out, and then okay. Well, I see. Okay. I mean, sort of, but not at all. I guess this is a, so if we look at this scenario, right, so stages, scenario 2, go here. Is there a setting on the scenario that controls the boundary? Yes. So I'm going to change this to like, let's see if it's like 500 to 500. Negative 500 to 500. Okay, let's reload the game. Or stop it and restart it. Okay. So now we can zoom out, but we should be able to, like, we probably don't want to be able to go this far. Okay, I can't tell. Am I still scrolling? The boundary's too far. Okay, so let's do like maybe 100. And so the idea was you would be able to the camera would stop at a certain point, and the point would be where this boundary line is, and you would see the boundary line as you approach it. Now, it's okay. I think one thing is that these starting scenarios are I think not representative of what I want to do with the game. I do want the areas to be larger. I was thinking about this morning, actually. So I think the first few scenarios will be fairly silly and small scale to give you a more gentle introduction. And like, so what we're doing like in this level with the number of zombies and how hard it is to defend should not be how it works in here. Also, we've broken the zombies. Why aren't they pathing? Why aren't you doing anything? Oh, it can't reach. So let's add a range extender. There we go. Now it can reach. Okay, so that works, but the zombies aren't pathing? Why not? What did we break? Anything in the debugger? Cannot reach target. Searching for blocking obstacle. No path to target and no obstacles found to attack. And then nothing. Okay, and now we have another message. Found blocking obstacle, switching to fallback target. But the zombies are still not moving? What's going on here? Oh. So here's our ground with boundaries. This is the thing that this pull request adds. Okay. Here's the mesh instance, and we have a static body 3D under it, and a collision shape. What? It's a box shaped 3D that is huge. Interesting. So at a guess, we have something that the zombie. The fact that it says that there's no path to reach the target feels like a. So what if we just remove these collision layers completely? I'm not sure if we even need the static body 3. Like, the point isn't necessarily that enemies would walk in this area. It's just to give like a you're not looking into the void sort of situation. Which ultimately maybe that's a maybe the scenario should just provide that. Right, so we have a zombie. It's not moving. What does it mean? No pass to target, no obstacles found. Okay, so let us keep working on this. Oh right, so I didn't actually change the thing though, because I changed the remote. I don't think that necessarily would have changed how things actually work. To do that, we need to change. Is that all just configured in the scenario script? No. Do we have a scenario? Like a base scenario scene that this inherits from? No. No, we don't. Okay, so how do we use boundary min x? We don't. Who uses boundary min x? Oh, I see. There's a grounded camera. Right. So there's a boop, boop, boop. We provide that, and then we read it in main. Ground with boundaries, huh? Oh, so that's in the main scene. That's this. There it is. Excuse me. Okay, so there is a separate scene for this. And if we were to just turn off the collision layers here for flat ground body, does that fix our issue? Yep. And we still see the boundary line, although I think I want to change some of that as well, which we could probably just change the material to do. Oh, that's the ground. We want to look at boundaries. Do we have a shared material here between all three, or what's the deal? Let's sort that out. Okay, so this is fine. I think I want to... What about instead of having 4 mesh instances, we have... how would we do that? Ooh, we could just have like a torus. What is this? It's a box mesh. Okay. Oh, I see. There's a preview there. I see. I understand. There is a torus mesh. Okay. Maybe I don't want to mess with this right now. This is fine for the moment. Let us save the mesh. Or not the mesh, but the surface material. Let's see, where are we doing that? Assets. I could convert this to a shader material. Nah, that's unnecessary, I think. Let's save this as assets. Let's create a new folder called materials. I could just call this like world boundary. Right, and then all of these use the same material. Why? So they can update them one time. I can update the one material, and yes. Okay, so if I want to change the color here to maybe like a bright yellow, like so. What does this look like? First of all, did that actually work? Where's the boundary? I don't even see the boundary anymore. Oops. Game over. I feel like that didn't work. Also, we probably want alpha here. Oops. Can't hit escape there. Okay. So save. If I go to our test scenario. Yeah, okay, so there's a boundary. And then the boundary's gone. What's up with that? Also, that is a teeny tiny boundary. That means basically I can only move the camera this far, right? Oh, now I can see. Okay. What's going on with the visibility of the boundary? Okay, it's visible if I come down here. I mean, that's neat and all. I might want to just get rid of the... Like, the idea would be this boundary would be quite a ways away from the actual, like, area of the game. So I might want to just get rid of the part where it fades in and out. Okay, so we'll come back to that. Set boundary transparency happens when we call update boundary transparency, which happens when we process. And I think the whole point of all of this is just to update the boundary visibility. So I think we just delete all of this. Get rid of all of this. I mean, I guess we can set the boundaries. I'm not sure why we can't just do that here. Because they wouldn't necessarily be set until ready, is why. Okay. So that'll get rid of the automatically changing the transparency on and off, which means that we just have the transparency of the underlying material. Like so. And I think that's fine, because the idea will be that in the scenario, right? So we're in test scenario. That the boundary should be like negative 200 by 200 by negative 200 by 200. And if we reload, then we should end up with a much larger box to kind of show where the world boundary is. The idea being that theoretically you wouldn't be able to place things out here, but you are able to. So that shouldn't be allowed. Okay, so in placement, obstacle placement. Placement settings, recast settings. Minimum distance from navigation region border. So this was actually, is this some so if we look at ground with boundaries and we look at the node groups, so this should not be navigable. Right? And in fact, I don't think we need these nodes. Yeah, because the ground that we're making outside of the scenario shouldn't be navigable. Right, so let's get back to our test scenario. And so that should mean that if we try to place something outside of the boundary, okay, well, that's not supposed to be allowed, but there you go. Interesting. Why is the navigation mesh out here? Okay, navigation region 3D. You have a navigation mesh. So source geometry for the navigation mesh comes from group with children navigation mesh source group. I guess it's possible that like this node doesn't have okay, no. Select a single node. We are selecting a single. I guess we can't do that from remote. Okay. Huh. So going back to obstacle placement and understanding how this works, what is border margin used for? So here we have a function that checks to see if the place where we're trying to place something is within the navigation region. And I suspect that maybe this is not working right. Let's see. Local position is transform position to navigation region local space. So target position. Get the nav mesh from the navigation region. We get the global transform of the navigation region for some reason. We check to see if the nav mesh has vertices. We get the first vertices from nav mesh vertices. Is that a thing? Apparently we can't look that up. Okay, it has a navigation mesh. Navigation mesh has I don't see vertices listed here. It has get vertices. Interesting. I mean, there are properties. Maybe if I scroll down here. Methods. Boop, boop, boop. Get polygon. Create from mesh. Get polygon. Can't get vertices? Sure. What is the point of what we're trying to do? I guess we're attempting to get that's weird. Vertex. Oh, I see. So we are trying to find the largest and smallest bounds of all the vertices in the navigation mesh. For some reason. And then, yeah, we're doing things. I feel like this is probably just completely wrong. But we have this concept now of a world boundary and world min and max x and z. And then in main.gd, what are we doing? Configure boundaries from scenario. We can set the camera. Maybe here. So when is this called? This is called when we load a scenario. Okay. So maybe configure boundaries from scenario should also. So how is obstacle placement used? Is that a node inside of the main scenario? Okay, let's stop the game. Obstacle placement, yeah. So maybe what we need to do is do what we did with the camera and introduce boundaries for obstacle placement. We're gonna get rid of that. We're gonna get rid of this. We're gonna get rid of these extra words. Like so. We are going to come down here, and this logic becomes much simpler. So we're gonna just say pass for now. And we're gonna say is within border. Yeah, I know we don't return a value. But what I want to do, I'll just return false for the moment. So there should be something somewhere. Oh, is it just not called? Because there should be a, like a red squiggly somewhere saying my method doesn't exist anymore. But no. Okay, interesting. Validate placement. So we never called that method. Outside border. Right, great. So this validation error, we add a new thing. We replace outside navigation region with outside of border. Bam. And then that's no longer an error. And this needs to be outside border, outside world boundaries. And then this, I bet we'll get AI. Yeah, if target position X is greater than or equal to worldman. Yeah, so just checking all the things, right? All the X and Z's. Is it within the bounds? Should be fine. Okay, so now if I run the game and we start a scenario, like our test scenario, and we zoom out to where the boundary is, and I try to place something out here, you're not allowed to place outside of the world boundary, which was one of the things I was wanting to have this do. Now, theoretically, you can do that. You can do that. Insufficient clearance. Oh, interesting. So one thing I'm noticing, the preview. Oh, right. So a thing. Let's make an issue. Preview of obstacles should use the same scale as base obstacle, right? So what's happening is that we have the mesh, and either we've applied a scale to the mesh in the obstacle, and when we clone the mesh, we're not copying the scaling, or it wouldn't make sense that we would be scaling. Some scaling is happening in Godot on the obstacle, in the scene for the obstacle, but that scaling is not visible to us when we're copying the underlying meshes that we're identifying as these are the meshes that you should use to show the preview. And so the preview is much smaller potentially, or it could be bigger if we scale it the other way, than what actually gets placed into the world. I'll convert this into an issue as well. Okay. But for now, it looks like we've done what I set out to do, which is to have the ability to have these world boundaries a reasonable distance away from the scenario. So I think maybe negative 250, negative 250, 250. Let's go to the other scenario. Let's just do the same thing right here. 250, negative 250, 250. I kind of, I wonder, at the end of the day, it's not super important just because it's just a constraint around. Okay, so 250 is a little much. Maybe 175. I can't see. There we go. 175. Negative. Negative 175. 175. Just something. Yeah, again. Okay, and I think that will be good for now. Let's commit all of this. Yep. Push that up. I think in some ways this may be, I think the world boundary stuff is good, and just to keep the camera from scrolling forever, to kind of constrain the size of the world that each scenario represents. But I do think that eventually I'll want to have the scenarios themselves just be larger, so that there shouldn't, I don't know. I might at some point bring the boundary only highlights as you approach it sort of thing going on, because that's kind of nice, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But for now, this is fine. Get these things. Let's just close Godot until we're ready to bring in the next thing. Don't save. Just go away. Go away. There's nothing to save. That's a thing that could be a bit nicer, right? And it's not something, I don't even think it's a thing with using external editor. It's just the fact that working in version control and then having like that interaction between, there's no, as far as I know, there's no like built-in things to interact with version control from Godot, which is fine. But I think the experience of like switching branches and changing things around and then switching back to the editor could be better. Maybe just like some awareness of, I don't know. I understand why you wouldn't necessarily want to bake in like, oh, this, knowledge about Git into the game editor. But yeah, we'll merge that. And we're making progress on all the things. Okay, so we'll get this rebased. How many of these do we have left? So we have some really old ones that I probably am not ever going to merge that we might want to look at in the future. But we have 2 more of these pull requests that I was working on recently, and that we can test out. So let's pull down this one. Right. Yes. Okay. And I did, this one is rebased, so we have all of our recent changes. Yeah, like that's there. Okay, great. And let's open Godot again. Okay, well, we're back where we started. Close some of these things. And so this pull request was supposed to add visual damage numbers and scrap gain feedback when we do things. When we collect scrap, when we hit enemies, stuff is supposed to happen. So let's try our test scenario. So we go to a zombie here. If I could only hit it. So we're supposed to see like a number pop up, being like damage done. But that doesn't seem to happen, which is too bad. What if a turret does it? I don't see it. Okay. It's not great. If we go back to the main menu, start game, we play the base scenario, right? And we collect scrap. I don't see numbers popping up there either, so I think it's just broken. Is there something that we were supposed to do? So the idea with this pull request is we added a damage numbers component. But it doesn't look like we updated any of the scenes. So it may be the case that I just need to add to the enemy the component. So yeah, if I just do add child node, damage numbers, and then we run, and 1. Okay, 1. That could use a little refinement, but we got to take a break here, so we'll do that refinement in a couple minutes.